Welcome to the Parenting in the Digital Age podcast. Many parents are concerned that their child might be falling behind. Others are just looking for ways to help their children thrive, not just in the classroom, but socially and well into their future careers. Each episode, we explore the challenges facing parents in the modern world, from behavior, education, and nutrition to device and gaming addiction. We interview a range of leaders in the area of childhood development to help you successfully navigate parenting in the digital age. Here is your host, Jamie Buttigieg.
Hello parents, and welcome to Parenting in the Digital Age, where we explore the challenges and opportunities of raising kids in a world filled with technology. In today's episode, we are delighted to have Karen Gibson as our guest. Karen is a renowned author, parent coach, and founder of Letting Go with Aloha and Brain Builders. With over 25 years of experience working with students and parents, Karen has developed invaluable insights into the art of parenting. Through her books, online courses and mentoring, she's helped parents navigate the complexities of raising adolescents and empowers them to practice compassion and trust in their children's journey. Karen's passion for helping parents and children extends beyond her coaching, as she's actively involved in hosting and co-hosting various parenting and healing summits. So join us live as we deep dive into Karen's wealth of knowledge and learn practical strategies to foster a healthy parent-child relationship in the digital age. Quite an intro, Karen. Welcome to the show. Please share with our listeners in your own words what you do and what you are passionate about.
Well, thank you, Jamie, for having me here. I think my mission is to revolutionize parenting. I think a lot of either inner child trauma or maybe just following how our parents raised us makes us realize today that that is not a mentally healthy way to raise our children, which is why there's an increase in mental health issues, confidence has decreased, and stress has increased, where kids as young as 5 are stressed out because they're not following the shoulds or society's just unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And when we see that often the, sort of kids and students lacking resilience, and that impacts their confidence and their self-esteem. In one of your books, Mama's Gotta Let Go, you discuss letting go without losing your sanity. There it is right there. There we go. For those who are watching the video version of the podcast, Karen, can you share a few maybe practical tips for parents who are struggling with this aspect of parenting? Talk through that.
Well, I've made every parenting mistake in the book. I know my daughters always say, you would have raised us totally different. As an educator, I think I did put that unrealistic stress that they needed to get good grades because that would be a sign that I was successful. So I think a lot of parents live through their children and they really believe that their children's behavior and decisions dictate whether they are a successful parent. Now we're realizing we need to encourage children to fail. We need to role model the behaviors that we want our children to learn. And if we feel that mistakes are to be avoided, and then we need to fix or prevent our children from making mistakes, guess what? They will learn that mistakes and failures are to be avoided and just something you don't do. And that is what's causing, I think, a lot of stress on both parts.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to unpack there. You said some profound things, but the notion of parents, really wanting their kids to get grades, I guess that's true, isn't it? It's almost to replicate or to show our success as parents as opposed to wanting the best for their child, isn't it?
It is, and I think there's two types of parents. One who, they were a success in school, they were academic achievers, so they want their children to follow that path. And then the other parent is the parent that did not like school, did not do well in school, so they feel that their children have to excel because they don't want their child to follow their path. But there really is no correct journey. I think all of us are meant to trust the process, and I myself have a difficult time practicing what I preach. I think sometimes when children, go through their challenges, it is so difficult to trust the process.
Yeah, you're right, Karen. And, I've got 4 kids and my son, who's 18, struggled a lot at school. And that was, a bit heartbreaking for a parent, as a father particularly, who, I think I'm a high achiever. But the reality was, when I finally let go of that notion, the way school is taught just wasn't a great fit. And, Max is in a great place. He's 18 years old now. He's still discovering his path. I don't think he'll find it in the short term. But one of those things that I sort of look back and reflect on my own life and career, that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to have multiple careers. It's okay to have, to get it wrong a few times, and parents need to let go a little bit. So I totally resonate with what you're saying. Can you explain the concept of healing one's inner child? So, why is it important for parents to undertake this process?
Well, I think many of us don't realize that we hold a lot of trauma from our childhood, and many of us don't even realize it. So the decisions, the limiting beliefs, just your behaviors stem from possibly something that happened to you when you were in kindergarten. For me, I was never chosen, for PE. That ruined my GPA. So I felt that my children needed to work on that. And if they weren't accepted, in my eyes, it was almost like forecasting their future failure, right? And then I learned many, many years later, I have a 21-year-old and soon to be 28-year-old, that we need to let our kids know, like you said, it's okay to change our minds. It's okay, to just not be okay, because heartbreaks will happen, jobs will be lost, deaths will happen. We lost my dad in 2016, my mom from Alzheimer's in 2021. And if you prevent your children from experiencing pain, you do a disservice to them.
Yeah, there's no truer statement. I think as parents, we have to we should try to fail publicly almost. And that might sound like an odd thing to say, but often as a parent in the past, I found myself hiding my failures from my kids because I didn't want them to see that, and maybe that's not the right approach. I realise, getting older in life, another example of what you just spoke about, I'm also a grandfather, and every Thursday I mind my beautiful 18-month-old granddaughter Zoe. We take her to the park, and what was really interesting is that there were all these parents, there were maybe 20 or so young kids, preschool, and these parents are following around their kids saying, be careful, don't do that, be careful, don't do that, stop that, get down from there, be careful. And sort of, maybe we had done this a few times, but being big grandparents, but we're kind of just, letting it go and, being there, but not using the same language necessarily. So, I don't know, tell us a bit, maybe this is a nice dovetail to that online course. In my pre-show reading, you've got an online course that's called Breaking the Cycle of Anxious Parenting. So maybe talk through that. What are some of the takeaways that parents can implement in their daily lives?
Oh, letting go is difficult. And I've had to hold my breath and stop myself from saying, wait. Because what you do is damage your self-esteem. So each time you say, you better not do that, they think, oh, that means you don't trust me. As a child, you really believe that your parents don't trust you every time you make sure that they do the right thing. So breaking the cycle of anxious parenting, it could also be breaking the cycle of anxious, like for educators, for caregivers, even in relationships, because we all need to let go. If as a boss, you have to let go and not hover, do the helicopter parenting. Well, what if you're doing the helicopter business leadership where you cannot trust that your workers will do the right thing? I mean, no one wants micromanaging, right? And so when it comes from a parent, it can destroy their self-esteem. It can make them feel that they are not prepared for adulthood because they're constantly going to look for your approval. And that is a scary way to live, right? That means after you're gone, and this is the inner child will be telling them, wait a minute, what would your mom say? What would your dad say? Are you doing the right thing? And then you question every decision, that you need to make as an adult.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that in terms of being a boss or, being a leader at work. One thing that I learnt as a young leader is your team is always more capable than you allow them to be. And I really think that applies to parenting. You know, our kids are actually more capable than we allow them to be as parents, don't you think?
Oh, I totally agree with that. I work with a lot of parents who are, younger or they have young children, and they always say, oh, but, what if they get hurt? What if their self-esteem? But they will be disappointed. So why not allow them? And I love how you said that, Jamie, to role model it. Role model your own mistakes. And before I used to be embarrassed, I'm an educator, and if I got caught making a mistake in a 4th grade assignment, I would feel like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing, I'm incompetent. Now I tell my students, you know what that means? What? It means I'm human. Let's make more mistakes. And they look at me like, what? No, I'm going to get in trouble. And I tell them that I'm trying to teach parents as well as students to embrace those mistakes, because we don't learn. We will not learn if we don't fail and make mistakes.
Yeah, that's really well said. Now, you also wrote a book, and you might flash that up if you've got it, 100 Parenting Tips, the other one, inspired by the pandemic, okay? That's a great title, by the way. In what ways do you think the pandemic changed parenting? Maybe what are some lessons that parents can take away from this, or experience moving forward?
Well, I think I love the title of your podcast, Parenting in the Digital Age. I think parents were forced to do distance learning. I was against it. I was going to quit tutoring and pursue letting go with Aloha, as a parent coach. And parents were deathly afraid. They were worried about, how do we navigate technology? How do we take a picture of the assignment and log on and watch a video? And sometimes the video wouldn't appear. And then they would personally take responsibility instead of allowing their children to figure it out. I mean, kids, like you said, they're so tech savvy. They are problem solvers. And if we let them figure it out. And so these tips, I realized they were inspired by the pandemic, but it could be everything from, learning their love language or their learning style, and even what is your parenting style? How do you trust your child? How do you leave a legacy? As well as, making sure that they learn a bit of like financial responsibility or learning about the world, geography wise. But we don't teach a lot of life skills in school. So that means it's up to the parents, or else you'll leave it to society or the media or TikTok or social media, which is not always beneficial.
No, definitely not. So we talk a bit about resilience and growth mindset. So how can, in your experience, how can parents foster a growth mindset in their kids?
I think the one thing we can do is meet them where they're at. Accept your child where they're at. If they're, 2 years below grade level, what does that even mean? I think a lot of us feel like, oh my gosh, my child is 2 years below, or they're 18 assignments behind. Your child will catch up. Someone said, have you ever seen an 18-year-old in diapers? Have you ever seen someone who is 20-something who did not know how to feed themselves or walk? And I thought that is a really good analogy. They might be, why do we need to fit and meet society's expectations? The parenting, what every parent needs to know, and you have to take this pacifier away at a certain age. You have to make sure that they walk, they say these certain words. And I remember, as a special ed teacher, I thought every time my child did something, oh my gosh, she has this. Well, maybe she has this. And we really prejudge, and we're so self-critical, as well as we wonder what's wrong with our child. So I think we meet our child where they're at and trust them, boost their self-esteem. Just having confidence alone will be the best gift a child can have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that word, trust. So how can parents then balance trust in their children's journey with the need to guide and also protect them in this rapidly changing world?
It is a fine line. I think you do need to guide them. I think when they're younger, you do have to monitor their screen time and what they're watching, because if you don't have those parental guidance controls, anything could be happening. They could watch very inappropriate things. But if your training or guiding your children and teaching them values and letting them know that, you're giving them some freedom, but that they need to, earn privileges or learn natural consequences, which is very difficult for parents, right? If your child doesn't wake up, if you don't wake them up. If they get up at 2 p.m. and they miss school, they miss school. That's a hard one. I really suffered with that one. And you really believe that you need to remind them. Did you do your homework? Are you ready for that job interview? Did you make sure that you enrolled your grandchild, right, to preschool? And you think, wait a minute, the question is this your journey or is it your child's journey to do? Because you don't want to handhold them throughout their life, because when you're gone, and I think that's what the role of a parent is, to prepare them when you're no longer there.
Yeah, well. I love that notion of natural consequences. As I said, my son's 18, and he was, this was quite a few months ago now, but he was looking for a job. He came home, he was quite excited. Dad, I've got another interview. And it was for the next day. I said, fine, I'll take you to the interview. Make sure you set your clock. Get up in the morning. He didn't get up. You made me remember this. Is quite a funny story. Yeah. And he didn't get up, and I didn't get him up. And he woke up around lunchtime, 2 hours after the interview was scheduled to take place. He came downstairs and he made lunch and he sat in front of the television. About 2 hours later, he realised, I've forgotten my interview. And, half of me felt like a bad parent, like I should have got him up and made him get in a suit and tie and, given him some counsel on the way to the interview. But the other part of me said, no, you've got to take some responsibility. And that's one thing I think parents need to teach their kids a little more. I don't know. That's certainly my view.
Wow. I think you deserve a round of applause. I think it's really difficult because I know parents who make their adult children's appointments. They do their taxes. They really do a little too much. They might say their children is, they're too busy, or I just want to help them. But you're really handicapping them, right? You're impairing that process of how will they know? I bet your son will know in the future, or when the lesson is not learned, then it will repeat. I really believe that. You will continue to be given opportunities to make mistakes, and it is not our job, especially when a child is approaching 18, I think even 17. It's really difficult because they're in that, they're still in high school, they're not fully adult, but why not? I had someone who was a military mom, 5-year-old. She had to make her breakfast, make her lunch, go to school because the mom had to leave at 6 a.m. And I thought, oh my gosh, but that 5-year-old was so independent. Who would have thought,
Our kids, I'll say it again, our kids are more capable than we allow them to be. I was watching something on Netflix. I can't remember what it was called, but it was this wonderfully cute Japanese show where they give the child something. Now, this is the child who's just learned to walk, can just speak the language, and they give them some instructions. And then they have this a hidden film crew, and they let this kid go out into the public, navigate traffic, navigate, all the sorts of hazards that we'd be like, could you imagine parents in the Western world, hovering over their kids saying, don't cross the road, hold my hand, let me pick you up, let me do this, And the whole show was about building independence in kids at as young as 2. And I found the whole thing fascinating. But, I don't think our job is necessarily to protect you. Look, don't get me wrong when I say this. I don't want to come across as sounding like a horrible parent. Our job is to let kids fall. Our job is to let kids fall. And, of course, we want to protect kids. That's what we want. But if we keep protecting them, they'll never learn anything in life. And anyway, I just saying that I wholeheartedly agree with your methods and certainly your teachings in your book. And you've said a lot of wonderful things that I hope parents will take away from this. So here's another question. So we're a podcast about helping kids thrive in a digital age. So how has the digital age and technology affected the parent-child relationship in your view?
Oh, I think it can be dangerous because it is an addiction. There is a cell phone addiction. I came across a parent who said, I can't get into my child's phone because I don't have the password. And I thought, the child is a minor. I understand, though, you want to, have them respect your privacy. But to me, if you are not paying for the phone and you are, under your parent's plan, your parent has the right, because you have no idea. Right now, there's like illegal activity going on. Inappropriate photos can be sent through Instagram, through Snapchat, and that's what parents are finding. So I think that is something that we did not have. We didn't have the internet. Well, I didn't have the internet. I didn't even have we had cordless phones, which is a huge thing, because then you didn't have your parents right there. But now children can be globally interacting with who knows who. You don't know the age of this person. They might say they're 15, but they're actually 57. So I think the education that parents need to, this is where trusting the process. I think when it comes to technology, there's a fine line, because so many kids have been abducted. I mean, not to have, like you said, you don't want to be paranoid, but you want to be, this is one area that I think you need to be cautious. Also, a lot of kids just Google it. When I tutor, sorry, and they're like, Alexa, can you? No, no, Alexa, no, letting the computer read for you. You can just click it. No. And so I think it makes it extra challenging for parents to, those natural consequences. They could have their whole paper written, especially with chat AI. My older daughter was saying, people can get medical degrees. People can write a whole thesis. People can do everything through artificial intelligence. That is scary. So the digital age has provided a lot of extra challenges that I think past generations we were saved from that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's caused a whole bunch more friction, between parents and kids that. There was, I remember there was always friction between my father and I. Well, it wasn't over cell phones and technology and how long I spent on the internet, but it was probably how long I spent going out and other things. But I think the amount of friction and arguments within the family has increased because I think the addictive nature of the technology caused the change in the children's behaviour, in their brain chemistry. And I think that's a challenge. I don't know. Any thoughts on how parents can navigate that? I probably ask everyone on this podcast the same thing, and there's no right or wrong answer. There's no textbook on this, and this is, I guess, why I keep asking the question. My daughter in particular, she's 16, and she's glued to the phone, and I can't say I'm successfully navigating it as a father and as a parent. What advice do you have for someone like me with a teenage daughter?
I think for teenagers, they do have to turn their phones at night. I know there will be major friction, but otherwise, if they have that notification, someone texts them, or there's a TikTok notification, Instagram, they'll wake up at 2 a.m. for fear of missing out, right? So learning how emotions work. I believe if emotional regulation was taught, you'd have less meltdowns, because they will learn not to believe every thought that enters their head. We believe it. Oh my gosh, my child is destined to be, a loser or failure because of, and you just believe this negative narrative. But if children were taught, and their brains aren't fully developed, right, until mid-20s, and depending on trauma or experiences, it might, you might have that, like you said, that the inner child, it's real. Because if you allow past experiences to dictate, it could be a friendship breakup. Then you have a loss of trust. Someone who's 12 can have a heartbreak, and that can affect their life as an adult. But if you teach them, and that's what breaking the cycle of anxious parenting, there's a whole module on, transforming or overcoming fears. Why does fear happen? Love languages, learning style, and even emotions. How do we interact in, positive communication? Because oh my gosh, those teen years are tough. And no matter what age, you will have friction, and know that it's okay. it's okay to have conflict, but how do you resolve? Resolution is really important. Asking for forgiveness. My parents never taught me that. That was a huge lesson. But if children learn how to apologize and to also accept our apologies as parents, far less conflict, and you'll increase peace while decreasing stress, in my belief.
Yeah, that's very wise words there, Karen. And one of the things that, I realise as a father and as a parent, this access to technology, and it is important for those parents who haven't gotten control of that, or, who are struggling with, kids wanting to take their phones to bed and so on and so forth. You've just got to think about the amount of online comparison and online bullying that does occur. And this is, one of the biggest catalysts, in my view, that, for causing kids to be anxious and losing self-esteem and, not wanting to attend school because, once upon a time when you and I were in the schoolyard, we might walk past each other. There might be an exchange of words if one was bullying the other, but I'd only ever have to see you twice a day, and I'd go home and I'd be pretty safe. But now, with the advent of the cell phones, technology, and having it always near us, and having these notifications on my daughter's phone, they don't stop. I mean, I turn mine off so I don't have distraction, but that bullying follows with them perpetually. And, that's having a massive negative impact on many, many kids around the world.
Oh, I just came across a study. I think out of 150,000, students or kids, they've learned that, your brain does not shut off. So that means you're not able to use your mind effectively. You won't be able to focus. You will have more anxiety. And it does affect even attending school, because depression is real, anxiety is real, and you might have a sore stomach to the point where you feel like you cannot handle even attending school, and it's all because of the notifications of even mothers, right? It's like, oh my gosh, their child is getting 10 scholarships. Their child, showed appreciation and got them a watch or surprised them with a trip. I remember seeing that. My child is treating me to a trip to Europe. And I thought, well, I'd be happy with just, but you automatically go to comparison mode. So look at teenagers. Their comparison mode is, why don't I have a boyfriend, girlfriend? I don't know how it is in Australia, but on your birthday, right? Where's my balloon? People are, carrying roses and balloons and gifts, and the child who doesn't have many friends feels worthless because they believe external, whether it's praise or gifts or that birthday acknowledgement, it hurts.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And you said something at the beginning of this call. It's something they can carry with them for their life. There's just that one incident is something that they'll carry with them for a lifetime. So, we have a job to let our kids fail, but we also do have a duty and a responsibility to protect them, especially in this digital age. And one thing we all admit, it's not easy as parents. So hopefully these podcasts, these discussions do go some way to helping parents navigate the challenges and opportunities we find in the digital age. Now, Karen, let's lighten up the tone a bit. One question we love to ask all of our guests as we conclude our podcast is, if you could go back in a time machine to your 10-year-old self and speak to young Karen, what's one piece of advice you'd give to young Karen?
Oh, gosh, I would say don't worry. Everything's going to be okay, and you are good enough. You are good enough exactly the way you are. You don't have to earn those straight A's to be worthy of feeling good. I think I put too much pressure on grades and achievements, and I wish I didn't study enough. A lot of people, I wish I studied more. I wish I played more. So I would say play more and enjoy your time as a 10-year-old. Absolutely.
Simple, sage advice there, Karen. And where can our listeners find you online? How can they find your books and get in contact with you if they want to?
Well, on my website, Letting Go with Aloha, you can get a hold of my online course, Breaking the Cycle of Anxious Parenting. Instagram, Karen KC Gibson. I also have TikTok, which is Letting Go with Aloha. And I have a YouTube channel, which is Letting Go with Aloha. So I have like over 50 meditations. I've interviewed over 100, I think 118, just people from all walks of life, not just professionals, but parents, grandparents. And so I think that, my mission is definitely to help parents. So if there's any parent out there who just feels lost, feel free to reach me, either on Instagram or even Facebook. Facebook is also Karen Gibson.
That's a wonderful mission, Karen. Thank you for your generosity today. I know there are tons of tidbits that parents can take out of that and really implement in their own lives to make such a huge difference. So thanks for your generosity today, and I hope we cross paths again soon. Cheers.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jamie. I really enjoyed this.
You're welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
If you enjoyed the show, please connect with Jamie on LinkedIn or Instagram. You'll find links in the podcast description. Parenting in the Digital Age is sponsored by Skill Samurai, Coding and STEM Academy for Kids. Skill Samurai offers after-school coding classes and holiday programs to help kids thrive academically and socially while preparing them for the careers of the future. Visit skillsamurai.com.au.